There are three types of enemy surveillance that you need to know about. And even if you're not a former CIA officer like I am, you still need to know about this to make sure nobody follows you home and somebody's gonna try and kidnap you, or home invasion or whatever. So, three types of enemy surveillance. The first type is basically bumper lock surveillance. What is bumper lock surveillance? That means, let's say you're an intelligence officer, right? You get off a plane in another country, you get your rental car, and your surveillance is right on top of you. Meaning, they call it bumper lockers are basically literally on your bumper. So you are driving around, surveillance is not trying to hide, they're not trying to be sneaky or tricky. They're saying, we know you're here, we're here to annoy the crap out of you, and we want to make sure that you don't do anything you're in the country to do, right? They don't want to make sure you do any operational acts. So that is bumper lock surveillance, where you're looking in your rearview mirror and they're right on top of you, and it's hard to obviously conduct operations in that manner, but it can be done. So that's the first type of enemy surveillance, bumper lock. Now, as a civilian here in the US going about your normal business, you're probably not going to run into this. Probably not a criminal is going to follow you home from the grocery store doing bumper lock surveillance, right? You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so what is the second type of surveillance? It is discreet, not to lose. So what does discreet, not to lose mean? It means that they're not right up on your bumper. They might follow you a few car lengths back, you know, they may be back there. However, they can't lose you. So if you go through a yellow light and it's red by the time they get there, they're going to run that red light. So you are going to know surveillance is on you, because you're going to pick it up where, you know, you make a turn or whatever, and they blow through that red light, or they blow through that stop light, because it's discreet, not to lose surveillance. So they can't lose you. Same thing, somebody following you home probably is going to not try and make it super obvious. So if you go through a yellow light and red light, they're probably not going to do it, because then you know that they're following you home. They want to be discreet, but not discreet, not to lose. Okay, so what is the third type of enemy surveillance? It is discreet to lose. What does that mean? Well, discreet to lose means that they are trying to blend in and make it not obvious whatsoever that you have surveillance on you. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to think you have no surveillance. So if you go through that yellow light, they are going to stop at the red light. If you go through that stop light, or that four-way stop, and they're going to get too far behind, they're going to wait at the four-way stop and lose you. They're not going to go through a stop sign. Now, sometimes they're going to try and lull you to sleep. What does that mean? Well, they might start with bumper lock, and then they might move on to discreet, not to lose. And then when surveillance disappears off that, you don't think, oh, hey, good for me, I have no more surveillance. No. They've probably gone to discreet to lose, and they're trying to, again, lull you to sleep, trick you into thinking like, hey, we want him to think he doesn't have surveillance on him anymore, so now they're going to go do their operational act type of thing. So you never let your guard down when all of a sudden you don't have surveillance, because they're probably doing discreet, not to lose. They're probably still around, which is why you run a surveillance detection route, SDR for short. SDR is a fancy way of saying you're not going to go straight to one place. You might go to the gas station, you might go to Walmart, you might go to Starbucks to see if you see the same cars or the same people as you're driving, and that helps you, or walking, that helps you pick up surveillance. So when it comes to you, well, you have to make sure you're not being followed home. And since you're not overseas, since you're not an intelligence officer, you can run the world's easiest surveillance detection route, which means you go around the block, right? If you think you're being followed home, obviously don't go home. Just do a bunch of right-hand turns. And if you do a bunch of right-hand turns going around the block, and that same car does that, well, guess what? You're probably being followed. It's not a coincidence. So now you know the three types of enemy surveillance: bumper lock, discreet to lose, discreet not to lose. And now you know that when you go home at night, or when every time I leave my office, I run a quick SDR, which again is just making sure I'm not being followed. It takes 30 seconds. There are too many instances of criminals spotting someone in a shopping mall or in a grocery store, and they think, hey, that woman has a huge ring on her finger, she has a nice necklace, I'm gonna follow her home and do a home invasion or kidnap her. So pay attention to this stuff. We live in too much of an unpredictable world. And if you want to know more ways to keep safe, get my New York Times best-selling book. It's called Spy Secrets Can Save Your Life. Just go to Amazon. You can buy it there. It's pretty dirt cheap. And pay attention to your surroundings. Like I said, we live in too much of an unpredictable world. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless you and stay safe. We're going to go rock and roll.